Hello and welcome to Martech Advisor's Executive Interview Series. I'm Ginger Conlon, a contributing editor to Martech Advisor, and joining us today is James Thomas, who is CMO of Allocadia. Welcome, James.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ginger. This is going to be fun.
So glad you're here with us today. We are going to talk about trends and opportunities with marketing performance management, a perennial hot topic. So before we jump into that, though, let's talk a little bit about Allocadia. Briefly tell us, what is Allocadia and what makes it unique?
Yeah, Allocadia, we're a marketing performance management cloud software vendor. And really what that means is we see marketers basically have two jobs. And the first is to do marketing, so all of the creative side of marketing, all of the campaigns and programs. And Allocadia helps you what we call run marketing. So all of the planning, all of the budget management, and really analyzing and tracking performance of your marketing programs, thinking about the money you spend. And our whole mission is to figure out how to help you manage your marketing budget more effectively and know where to spend your next dollar.
Right. So let's talk about marketing performance management. So
Yeah.
is there anything new about how marketers are defining marketing performance management today that they should know about?
Yeah, if you think about marketing performance management, it used to be some of the areas of marketing performance management were covered in the MRM space or marketing resource management. So a long time ago, analysts used to try and create a category that was much broader. They included things like digital asset management and budgeting and planning as a part of that. But we really saw the evolution of this marketing performance management category over the last 3 or 4 years, really around the specific managing your marketing plans, tracking your budgets, but also more than just talking about budgets, let's talk about return on investment. And so what we see, the big changes in the market are around the amount of data flowing into these systems increasing all the time. So not just your marketing plan data, but finance data, results data, CRM data. So we're not just talking about the performance of campaigns and vanity metrics. We're actually talking about what really matters to the business, which is about how much am I spending and what's my return on investment, and ultimately how much is marketing impacting the growth and the performance of the organization. So taking an organizational view and a revenue view versus more of the vanity metrics performance of actually how many emails open. Let's talk about revenue and talking about the language of the CEO and CFO and not just the language of marketers.
Right. Well, it makes sense. So it sounds like marketing performance management has three main pillars: planning,
Mhm.
investing, and measuring results. So can you talk a little bit about each of these pillars and how marketers maybe need to think differently about them today than they're used to in terms of being able to improve performance?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about those three pillars, first around plans, and we think about marketing plans are often locked up in a PowerPoint or a whiteboard, or they might have put a budget plan together in a spreadsheet, but they're very much typically they're very static sometimes, and they kind of just sit there. And we like to say marketing plans are everywhere and nowhere. The other thing about plans is they're not often aligned to the corporate. When we think about marketing plans, we think about, hey, we've got to do a trade show, we've got to do email campaigns to drive revenue. But if you think about plans from a corporate perspective, step back, why am I investing this money? Being able to answer those questions, really important from a planning perspective. Now, from an investment perspective, often again, budgets are tied up in spreadsheets, and our whole company was founded on this premise that marketing teams have had massive spreadsheets and they're trying to consolidate them, and no one has a single view to answer basic questions about how much have I spent on what, how much do I have left. Many marketers have to spend weekends and nights and hours. We see people spending an average of 4 or 5 days a month in many organizations uh, tracking down their budgets. So we want to bring all those together in one place, tie your plans to your investments. So ultimately, you can close the loop to talk about results. And results, again, aren't just investment results and return results. You need both the I and the R, the investment and the results, bringing those together, tie those together with your marketing activities to get this really complete view of your marketing performance. Where we see many companies struggle with is they start with a plan and it dies in the PowerPoint, or they start with investments in the spread tied to objectives. So really, innovative marketing companies are looking at this whole concept of running marketing as a real strategic asset for them. We did a survey recently showing that people who do this well tend to get 3 times more budget increases than those that don't. So there's a pretty significant impact of the business, and so it's become an imperative to do this. You can no longer,
Right.
as a really good B2B marketer, believe that spreadsheets are going to get you where you need to go today. You've got to tie these three things together, and we think it's a pretty cool time. Once you do those things, well, we know you're going to get more budget, and you'll be able to have a lot more confidence in marketing.
Right. So, what are some of the obstacles that marketers need to overcome to get to that point where they are doing it well?
I think some of the key areas where it's hard is the amount of data. That if you think about the amount of data that's coming into us from different systems is increasing all the time. You think about changing in things like buyer behavior and digital, and how the whole consumer experience and buying for B2B has changed dramatically about the type of resources people can get. So you have to think about marketing differently, and you have to think about those types of activities not as a one-to-one correlation from an activity to a sale. You've got to think about the whole combination of those along the buyer's journey and understand how much am I spending on those programs. And third is a kind of a lack of skills, like to really interpret this data. And so many marketers, there's been lots of discussions about the whole right brain and left brain of marketers today, that it's an art and a science. And trying to find people who are good at both, I think is pretty hard. And I think it's becoming a real challenge to find people who are comfortable talking in a boardroom about finance metrics and business metrics, while at the same time talking about creativity and design and engaging customers. All of those things, it's hard to do both. And so if you put the data challenge together with the skills challenge, with just the expectations of buyers, I think you put those together, this is a pretty big obstacle. And so we try and recommend start really pragmatic. Stop using spreadsheets, get your system in the cloud, align to your plans, and then iterate, improve over time. Don't try and take this all in one big lump, because you're gonna realize big impact, big challenge, big opportunity. You got to get through these obstacles to be successful.
So, one of the challenges I think marketers face is that they need to balance their short-term campaigns, like something like a
Mhm.
holiday promotion or an event, that or like around a conference or something, with their overarching long-term goals and initiatives. So how can marketing performance management help them with that balance?
Yeah, one of the things we've done a lot of work at Allocadia recently is released a new capability we call strategic planning, and it's not something new. It's not a new concept, but what the challenge often is, these strategic plans live in, like I said, PowerPoints or up back on the whiteboard behind you. How do you operationalize that? So we kind of put a methodology together with some analysts to talk about, what's your corporate objective first of all, then what's your marketing objective, and then what's your team objective, and then what are your activities. So rather than starting with activities first, starts with objectives first, and make sure that they're aligned. Make sure that you're spending the right time on the right program. So activities are important, but what many marketers do is start there. We feel like that's where you're going to find a lot of waste. When we look at our customers, we believe they're wasting 15 to 20% of their budget on redundant or wasted activities. Maybe they've already done this in another vendor. Maybe they've already got assets somewhere else, or maybe they've already proven it doesn't work. So the idea of having a system that you're tracking every dollar by saying, why did I spend this money? So in our system, you can tag your investment dollar. Say, I'm going to spend $50,000 on a trade show booth. I want to say that's an activity for trade shows, but it's also that activity is aligned to the objective to drive net new revenue in Europe. And it's also aligned to a corporate objective to drive more efficient growth in the entire region, because you think that's where your strategic bets are playing. So you want to be able to look at the same dollar multiple different ways. And so if you think about starting with your plan, managing your investment, tracking results, and the flow of money through those activities, then you can get that really holistic look at where, what's working, what's not, and kind of where to spend the next dollar. You don't want to be paralyzed by marketing because often you don't want to overthink this stuff. You want to be executing. You want to balance execution and strategy. But we find if you tie them together, manage your investment more effectively, track your results, you're going to have more success as a marketer.
So where do you see the link between marketing performance management and marketers using it to help improve some aspect of the customer experience?
Yeah, there's a couple fundamental things. One is we talk a lot about to Allocadia, this concept I mentioned earlier around doing marketing and running marketing. And so you have to do great marketing. There are so many amazing, engaging tools that help you engage with the customers through social, through experiential marketing, through digital campaigns, through in-person events, all those different types of activities. There's never been a better time to be a marketer on the creative side and the way to engage. The challenge is most people don't know actually what is actually working in those areas and what's not. And so this idea of being able to track your investment on the marketing performance management side, saying, here's the combination of activities I used, and then saying, here's the actual results that experience drove. Is where we see fitting. And the challenge is if as a marketer, if you're not managing your house, if you're not managing your internal processes, you're not going to get the type of budget, budget you need in order to do those cool programs. And so we see, many organizations spending 60-70% of their time doing planning and budgeting. That's not what you want to be doing. We don't want you doing that. We want you spending 20% of your time doing, getting your house in order and the budgeting, so and your investments, so you can actually do some of the creative things. It's about time, it's about money, and we want to make sure, we want to help. We believe if you can help marketers better manage those, then they can get to be creative again. And I think sometimes we use too much data and too much science, and we don't get to do the cool stuff. Marketers want to do the cool stuff. I'm a CMO. I want to do the cool stuff too. But I don't get to do that if I don't manage my own house. I don't have a way to talk to my board. I don't have to talk to my CEO about how well I'm doing and some of the programs I'm running.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes so much sense. So let's wrap with a look forward. What's coming up that you're excited about in two areas? First, in the market in general, any tool or trend that you're keeping an eye out on, and you actually mentioned briefly before within Allocadia, any new features or upcoming upgrades that we should be watching out for?
Yeah, I think one of the things we see going forward and really excited about is it's not just saying where did you spend your money in the past and what's worked, but like let's look forward. Let's look to use more predictive and artificial intelligence technologies to help you recommend where to spend your next dollar. Ultimately, that's what marketers would love to be more efficient at. And that includes scenario planning. That means taking all that massive amounts of data that you have on the results side and tying with your investment side to say, here's how actually people are buying today, and let's be more prescriptive rather than reactive. And so I feel like those are really important areas for us, and where we're looking at investments and partnerships and real innovation around this whole community of marketing. It's such an exciting time, but we can't do it alone. And I think that's the kind of leads to the second question is, what is Allocadia really working on? Which is, it's just a lot around integration, around connecting with other systems, whether that be a data science vendor, an attribution vendor, more results data. So we've released some new technology we call Allocadia Connect, which allows us to build this ecosystem of data that we can track from the investment side and the return side, to have not just cool results count campaigns, but actually how is this impacting the business? And so I'm super excited about the amount of data that we can start to play with. The type of solutions we can build for our enterprise customers who are, we've all seen the MarTech map with 5,000 vendors, and we all have, I'm a small-ish company, and I have 30 plus vendors in my MarTech stack, and they're not going away. Let's bring them together. Let's create that system of record. Let's use data for good. And I think, Allocadia wants to really build a framework for that. But we know we won't know everything. There will be new innovative technologies, and we really want to be able to partner with our our customers to achieve their goals.
And James, thank you so much for all the great insight and information today. And I want to thank everyone who joined us on the video and let you know that check out Martech Advisor's YouTube channel for additional executive interviews. And James, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Ginger. I enjoyed that.